G'day everyone, it's Mark Fernandez here with another video. So this video was a little bit spontaneous. I wasn't planning on making this one. We had an issue with one of our motorbikes where the gear selector lever got bent. So as you can see, it's pushed in a lot more than it should be, and it's pushed almost directly straight in front when it should be to the side. So what I did was I used a reference video of the motorbike and went about trying to shape it with that picture in mind to try and replicate it. Today I'll be trying two methods to try and bend this back. The first way didn't work, but I think I'll show you guys anyway, just so you can see if it's doable or not. And the second way actually worked. So the first way was I tried torching and heating up the lever so I could bend it with some pliers or with some wrenches and try and do it that way. So that way didn't work. As you can see, it just moves the linkage all around and it's not able to hit anything firm to be able to bend it back to its original shape. So it didn't really matter how much heat I put on it, it still didn't want to move and it wasn't even budging really. So that first method was a big time fail. So I wouldn't recommend doing that way, but the second way did work. So what we ended up doing was we had to undo the little, it's like a C bolt and like a C nut so that we could take off the actual lever itself so that we could reshape it. I'll apologize in advance because there's a lot of arms and heads in the way and knees in the way. So I tried to get the best footage I could given we were busy trying to fix this, but I'll walk you through it. So the way that worked was we ended up taking the bolt off the top of the linkage and it's kind of like a C shape. So the bolt goes through the end of the C shape. Trying to get that bolt off was tricky. I had a socket that fit, but it didn't have the clearance above where you can see that kind of silver cowling there. So what I ended up doing was I got out the shifters and I found the shifter that would do the trick given the space that we had. And once that bolt came free, the C-shaped, kind of bolt, it didn't want to come off. It was still pinching the whole kind of linkage to that kind of rod that it sticks to. So we ended up having to get the flathead screwdriver in just to try and undo it a little bit. And we ended up being able to get the lever off. Once the lever was taken off, it was then a matter of smacking it into shape. I couldn't film that because it was outside and the camera wouldn't have picked up any of the footage anyway. But basically I took it out to the gutter and I got the biggest hammer that I had and smacked it back into shape until we were happy with it. Then it was a matter of putting it back on, which is pretty simple. Just basically follow the order in reverse. So just wiggled on the lever and put the bolt through and found that I had to whack the kind of C nut back into shape just to be able to, for the bolt to go through it so we can tighten it up that way. And then once we were happy with how it was all nice and firm. We had to get the footrest out of the way as well before we could take off anything. So make sure you do that as well. You'll see that we ended up taking that off, just hanging down there. And once we were happy with how tight everything was, we tested it out to see if it worked. And unfortunately, it didn't work. It was a little bit it worked, but it was too low down and you had to bend your ankle too far down to shift gears. So what we ended up doing was we repeated the process of taking everything off again. We should have measured it up properly the first time. So we put it into a position to make sure that it could still click up and down without interfering with anything. And then we got on the bike, tested to see if you had to put your foot too far down or too far up. We were happy with where it was and we tightened everything up and left it like that. That's just a quick video that we made today just of a gear selector lever that was a bit broken, so it was a bit bent, and we ended up being able to bend it back the correct way without having to spend any money and waiting for parts, because waiting for parts can take a bit long these days with the way things are. So if this video was helpful, make sure you subscribe. If you liked it, give it a like, and I'll see you guys shortly in our next video.